Hey guys, welcome back to American Nostalgia Garage. Today, special day, we're going to do some stuff that I've been really excited to do, and I'm going to share it with you, and I hope you like it as much as I do. Today we're going to be installing a CPP front end kit. So that is frame rails, rack and pinion, power rack and pinion, new sway bar, lower drop spindles, a whole nine. So it's the cheapest kit you can get for these cars. And I'm going to basically do an experiment. I bought the cheapest thing I could, and I'm going to let you know if I think that it's worth the money. I gotta be honest, I'm already kind of biased. I spent, a lot less money on this than you might on like a Heights, Performance, or some other G-Rod, frame, whatever, flim flam, jimmy jab, whatever. So I'm already pretty excited that we saved a bunch of money. I have, spoiler alert, I have already taken some of the parts out of the boxes, and I gotta be honest, some of these parts look freaking awesome. The subframe itself, when we get around on this video to putting it in, you'll see. I'll give you a close up. It looks like it's well made. So anyway, I'm gonna be the guinea pig for you guys. I'm gonna put this thing together, and you guys can basically decide if it's something you want to do, and we'll go through the installation process together. It looks like it's going to be pretty easy, so let's get to it. We're getting rid of this giant clunky steering box. We just don't need it anymore. So we're getting rid of all this stuff up here, all this over here. These frame rails are going to be removed and set up for the new stuff. And you're going to get to see all of it here on American Nostalgia Garage. Thanks for tuning in. Let's do it. Alright, so first, we're going to deal with the steering box. So the way that these come out is there's a long shaft that is not removable, that goes all the way into the car. I'm not pointing it. Inside the car. And it comes through the steering wheel. So we've got to take the steering wheel nut off, and then pull the column off of the shaft. And then we're going to basically have a long steering shaft that's going to be still inside the car. We're going to have to actually pull it away from the car. We'll do that when we unbolt it. The other thing we've got to do is, down here, we've got some rivets we got to cut out. Because we don't want to take this all off as one piece. We want to have one side and then the other side separate. So we've got to make these cross members and attaching pieces go away so that we have a separate rad support, separate driver side, separate passenger side, and then we'll take it out in pieces. Alright, so what we got to do now, we got to take these bolts off, obviously the steering shaft bolt itself, and then underneath the dash, there's two bolts that hold it in. Then it'll drop down, the steering column will drop down. I can pull this section off of this, and then in the middle there, that shaft is going to stay in the car. So let me do that. Well, here I am in my bed in the Holiday Inn, super comfortable. Oh, no, there's actually a screwdriver in my back, and I can't feel my left leg. But we're ready for the steering column to come out, which is just going to leave us with this shaft. And we're going to have to pull out of the firewall later. So I'm going to get this off of here. You kind of got to fish it through, so you're going to pull on it. I've got it clocked so that both of the levers that are on the firewall side can come through the hole in the firewall. Here we are. We got just our steering shaft left. And now we're ready basically to go back on the other side, finish doing what we got to do there, and then we can pull this all the way through. Alright, we're going to take out the radiator support. But first we're going to get the fenders out of the way, which come off with about 37 bolts. But not in my case. Okay, done. Now I got to take the radiator support out. These are the kind of things you deal with when you build cars. Somebody welded terribly. Look at this, is worse than mine. Just welded these two pieces of panel gate. I don't know if it was squeaking or whatever they did, but boy, is that bad. All right, so we gotta cut those apart. Wonderful. God, I hate you. Okay, that's piece number 2 of the 8,000. I'll just put that somewhere else where I'll trip on it for an hour. What's next is going to be these bolts right here. 1, 2 on the other side. Also going to be another 2. We're going to knock off the inner tie rod, which is down here. We're going to knock that off so that it's not dangling when we create when we take this frame off. So knock that off. These couple of bolts, and then this will come away from the firewall. One, and that's like a grade -1.5. So it's good that the only thing that's holding the front end on the front of this car is bolts made out of paper mache. You get the ones on the back side, and then going to be taking this piece off. All right, I'm taking the 2 remaining bolts out, and then this is not on the car anymore. It's not going back on. This steering shaft now that this whole thing is loose, I'm going to pull this off the bolts because it's really kind of just holding on the bolts. I'm going to pull it off the bolts, and then I'm going to lower it controlled down to the ground without breaking my foot, while simultaneously pulling the steering column out of the car. Okay, I still have both feet, both hands. Yep, got everything. All right, people, here we go. Blank canvas. Both fenders are off. There's one. There's the other. Those are going to go outside. Probably put it up for sale or something. Try to get another buck back so I could throw it in the garbage. Reinvestigate on this car. Well, time to put stuff back on. All right, this is where we're at. I just sprayed some, I don't know if it needs it or not, but I just sprayed some paint underneath where the frame is going to mount because I'm not going to be able to get back there anymore. Both sides. Here's the frame, and first thing we're going to do is bolt it on. One criticism I have to give this kit, at least so far, and as you can see I'm not very far along, I'm already realizing I'm missing a piece of hardware. I don't know if it was a fault of somebody or if it comes like that or whatever. But I had to go out and get, there's 8 mounting bolts, 4 on each side for the frame. They give you 6. Now I know the bolts that they gave me belong to here, because one, they're nut and bolts, and that's one of the only places that this frame is going to have that. Well, not really, but it's the one place where those bolts would fit, and it's the correct thread and length. So there's 4 of them, but because of the way that the frame is mounted up, I'll show you. Because of the way the frame is designed, 3 of these on each side are through bolts. One of them is threaded. Why? Because that one actually goes inside. There would be no way to get a nut on that. Missing hardware, strike number 1. Garage tip: whenever there's something in your way on the floor, just kick it into another place where it'll then be in your way again in 5 minutes. Alright, here's a quick look. Preliminary mounted here. Oh, I forgot to mention, I don't know if you can make it out. They gave this a hammer tone finish. Not a professional painter. I know I've said that 100 times. But this looks pretty cool. I like it. Next up is going to be these down bars. And they go on the frame from a tab down here on the frame up to a tab that's going to be mounted where the original fender would mount on there. These we have because these cars used to get their strength through that fender. We don't have that anymore, so we're getting rid of a lot of weight and we're saving up a lot of space. But you do have to have something that's going to triangulate this frame because it's really just bolted down at the bottom. These frames are actually pretty weak, or it's just not. It's a weaker design than a full frame car. Anyway, a couple things about these bars. First, they have a right-hand thread and a left-hand thread on the same bar, which means righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, lefty-tighty, righty-loosey on one side. So one is regular, one is the other way. The reason that is like that is so that when you spin the bar, you will essentially lengthen or shorten this bar to adjust the length here. If they were both right-hand thread and you turned it, all you would do is thread in one and out the other. It would do nothing for you. So what I did is I marked off. I put a little orange line to give me the middle of the adjustment so I can kind of gauge from there where I'm at. And I also marked, I don't know if you can see that. The glare is messing up, but they put an R there. That way I can put both right-hand threads either on the bottom or on the top so that they're in the same spot. So essentially these bars get turned the same direction in order to be adjusted. So I've got to mount the plates up on the firewall in order to put these in. Alright, next up we're going to install our bars because we don't want the car to snap in half when we start driving. Well, maybe you do. I mean, people do weird stuff. But I don't want it to happen, so. One eyelet up here, one eyelet down here. If it looks like it just fell together, that's because it did. Because I actually kind of pre-measured it. Just so I don't look stupid on film, you know? Alright, so again, I mentioned that this doesn't come with instructions. So I don't build chassis. What I'm thinking is that I'm going to take this bar, I'm going to set it up at neutral, which is about where it is now. And then I'm going to basically add some compression to it. Compression. So I'm going to lengthen the bar so it actually pushes the frame down a little bit. Reason being, the frame itself is going to be getting pushed up into the car. So if I take these bars and I shorten them once they're installed, I'm actually pulling the frame up towards the car already. And I don't want to pull it up any more than it already is going to get pushed up into the car. I'd rather there be some downward pressure to basically help with the weight. I don't know if that's right, but again, there is no instructions with this, so that's what I'm doing. Here's what we got. Down bar, down bar. We're not adjusted yet, but it's bolted in with these bolts. Goes up to the firewall. Not tight yet, but basically what you do is you turn them either way, and that's basically where you get your adjustment from. Alright, so we're doing control arms next. A little bit of a weird setup, took a little bit of figuring. I gotta be honest, this is not the first time I'm taking this bolt out. But in fairness, I didn't want to misexplain it to you. I'm gonna lose everything. I didn't want to explain it to you improperly and then somebody gets screwed up here. So anyway, there's a long bolt that goes through here. The control arms go through this hole, through this stalk, which has a gusset on the back. Remember the gusset, because I'm going to bring that up in a minute. And then, and this long bolt goes all the way through. So I'm going to do it, and then I'll show it to you. All right, so here's what we got. Control arms on. A little bit of a space between there. I really don't think they want you to squish it down, but I would need another probably washer on each side in order to make that right. And then that would leave no washers on the outside. What I may do, put one more washer in here just to shim it out, or even here, I don't know. Put it on the front, and then buy another washer for here. But I'm not final bolting anything on right now, so we'll do that later on. For now, we got this on. I'm going to do one side at a time. So let's do the upper. I want to see if I can figure that out. We'll do the upper, and then we'll go to the other side. All right, here is the upper. It's got these knurled parts in here. I believe that's so it locks into, here's the mounting ears. I believe it's so it locks in there. So I'm going to guess, I don't know, because there's no instructions. I'm going to guess that they want you to lock it in the knurls towards, see, the knurls towards the mounting flange. Also, as you can see, that has 3 locations. I'm going to go with the center for now, because I don't know how I'm supposed to do it. So let's mount that up, and then we'll take a look. Alright, here's the upper. Now nothing is completely nutted and bolted here. I went with the middle bolt on here. You may be asking, why did I put the bolt this way? The reason being is because I don't want to gash my hand open on this bolt if for whatever reason I need to get to something like, say, the header on the back side of here or something on the motor. This is kind of like dead space up here. I don't think I'm going to be doing a whole lot up here. If I really want to, I can knock that off. But I'm not going to, because if I need to put shims in here to get the alignment right, then I don't want to have to get another longer bolt. So for now, they're going to go like that. I guess let's throw a spindle on, right? I mean, why not? I do want to paint them though, so I'll just put them on. Maybe I'll paint them first. I don't know. Let's do that. So before we move on, actually, there is something I want to mention. You see, these are like big metal sleeves. And they came in the control arm box with 2 of those gussets I showed you earlier. Like that. So I got these big things and 2 gussets in the control arm box. I have not yet figured that out, but I'll let you know what I think it is or what I'm going to do with it when I'm ready. I don't know. I don't know if it has something to do with cutting an existing control arm stalks off, like cutting those off and then welding these on with new gussets. I don't know, but I'll let you know when I figure it out. Alright, as you can see, I already have this death trap locked and loaded and ready to take my head off. So, spring is in the pocket at the top. The pigtail section of the spring is at the bottom, basically lined up where it's going to go in the lower cup. And now I'm going to jack it up, and hopefully it doesn't kill me. Alright, update time. Spring is in. Looks like it's going to come out and kill somebody. But it's not. Well, maybe not. Spindles on. Little coat of paint. Car is barely on the jack stand, so we just got to do the other side. And then we're moving on to the rack, I think. We'll do the rack next. Next up, we got shocks. I was going to put the rack in, but we're going to do shocks first. Kind of got a second here. I'm going to try to feed this cross pin through quick, and I think I missed my time. This is out. Oh, no. I'm good. I'm panicking for no reason. Am I? Maybe not. I can't get the cross pin through because the shock body is hitting the control arm. That's weird. Yeah, I can't get the cross pin through. The shock body is hitting the control arm itself, the pocket. Alright, we only got a couple things left to do. Let me consult the list. I didn't make a list. So, what we got to do is we got to put... hubs got to go on. Hubs, brakes, sway bar. Oh, you know what I didn't do? The battery died. So I got to show you how I did the rack here. Alright, so the rack was kind of a little bit funny here. These are the bushings that came pre-installed in the rack. They were installed right here and here. These had to be punched out. I don't know if they have to be punched out on every kit, but for the 66, 67 Nova and probably the 62 through 65s, if I'm being honest, these have to be punched out because they just don't fit. This rack just doesn't fit right. It's kind of like, this is too long. It's kind of like standing off the frame too much. So what you have to do is you have to punch these out and then install these other giant bushings that they give you. They actually fit right in, and like a little hockey puck as a spacer. So I'll show you that. So here's the little hockey puck, this silver spot. You can't really see it, but there's a big bushing. You might be able to see it here on this side. Behind this washer is a bushing that gets installed in the rack. It's a different bushing. It is included in the kit, but you have to know that you got to put that in there. So luckily I was kind of able to just figure it out, but it's, again, it's not in the instructions that didn't come with the kit. So let's move on. We got a couple things left. We're almost done, so let's get cracking. Ugh. Delicious. Hey, well, it's time for everybody's favorite thing to do. Packing wheel bearings. Man, I hate doing this. Anybody else hate doing this? Alright, we got one hub with the bearing installed in the back. And we got a seal in there. I'm going to throw it on our spindle here. These will fight you sometimes because the bearing itself doesn't want to go all the way on or whatever. This seal is acting funny. Alright. One outer bearing. You got a washer with a keyway. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. Throw that in there. Got our nut. Alright, we're doing brakes. Nice stuff. Wilwood. Anyway, these Wilwood brakes have a bleeder on both sides, so they don't really have a side. I do have to go and get these special little fittings that go into these calipers now. Typical Wilwood stuff, though. Anyway, with that, you get these brackets. These brackets, you can see, have a little thing in there. I don't know if it goes like this. I don't know if it goes like this. I don't know how it goes. So I'm going to try one way. I'm going to see how it works. I also don't know if the bracket goes on the back side of the steering of the spindle or on the front side. There's room to do it here too if you wanted to. I don't know. What I'm going to do is learn with you guys. Alright, so here's how these calipers go. They got these pins with threads on them. These threads thread into this bracket back here. There's also these little spacers. Those have to go into the hole here. So, best way to do that, throw it on the pin like that. Take the pin, push it into the hole, and then just push down with both of your thumbs until, I'll show you, until it's in there. See how the caliper's not even one side to the other? That makes me believe I gotta move this caliper onto the other side of the knuckle, which is what I'm gonna try right now, and I'll let you know. Alright, this is why I do these videos for you guys. No way I'm fitting a brake pad in there. Calipers... Whoa, camera. No way I'm fitting a brake pad in there. You see, I mean, can barely swipe a credit card in there. I mean, maybe I'll just put both pads in this side. That ought to work. Back to the other way now, so take it off again. Still uneven, but a lot better. But anyway, for anybody that buys this kit, you should know this bracket has to go on the back of the spindle. So now you know. Let's move on to the sway bar. Let's finish this out, you know? Alright, here's what our sway bar kit entails. Frame bushings, sway bar end link, the sway bar end link for this side, debushing, or frame bushing for this side, some gel, grease, stuff in a bag. This sway bar is threaded on the end. There's a threaded boss on the lower control arms. That's where that's going to go. And there's some threaded holes on the bottom of the frame. Now, as luck would have it, there is instructions in this peg. And all the instructions on this are for something else. It's got you welding stuff on the frame or drilling a hole out in the... you don't have to do any of that. The bolts are right there. I don't know what happened. And this is the last box. If there were going to be any instructions for this kit, it would be in there. So I hope that my pain of dealing with all of this helps one of you. All right, let's get this sway bar on. Let's finish this video out here. Just going to spill my hardware all over the floor, and then I'm going to sift through it when I need it. How do you guys operate? Do you throw all the hardware out on the table, or do you just, you know, try to push it through the bag? I'm kind of, you know, I do both. Alright. I'm going to do the end links before I tighten down the frame bushings, because I want to make sure that when I put them in, that I don't have the sway bar pushed off to one side and it's like this on one side and, you know, whatever. I don't want them kinked. So I'm going to put these in now, then center the sway bar, and then go from there. Ooh. Alright, let me save somebody some time now. When you do this, make sure that the sway bar ends, the end of the sway bar here, I'll show you. make sure this end of the sway bar is above the tie rods before you do this. All right, let's get one sway bar link in. All right, so here's what we got. Sway bar link down here. I don't know if the bolt just needs to be turned in more. I'm doing it with my fingers. Bolt goes into the sway bar at the end. Here's a concern of mine. Sway bar is super close to the tie rod. Alright guys, we're all done. So it does have to be nut and bolted. I'm going to go through the whole thing, make sure everything's snug and tight. Right now everything's pretty much like, you know, like half tight, finger tight. I just wanted to get it together, do an assembly video on it for you guys so that nobody has to deal with the headaches that I did. Couple of things with the kit I had a problem with. One huge thing, instructions. I'd have thrown them in the garbage anyway, but it would have been nice to reference just in case. So if anybody does buy this kit and gets instructions from CPP, send them to me so I could send them to CPP and remind them back to send them back to me. So look, overall, honestly, not that tough with just regular knowledge that you guys all have more of than I do. Putting this kit together without the instructions actually wasn't that bad. Use a little bit of creativity and a little bit of, you know, like the meat that's inside the head, whatever that squiggly noodle stuff is. Use that. So let's get you in here, let you take a look. I'll let you know what I like and what I don't like. All right, don't mind the rotor. Like I said, there's no pads in it right now. It's just mounted. So you guys remember the problem I had with the pads, one side being a lot wider than the other. Not exactly what I'm sure what I'm going to do about that. Coil springs are in, the shocks are not. For anybody that's really paying attention, shocks are not in. Why? Because earlier in the video, if you were watching, you might have noticed that when I went to put the shock body in, the body of the shock was actually hitting the very back of the cup back here. Can you see my end of my finger? Yeah, back there. So I couldn't get it into the hole up here and get the cross shaft where the spacer bushing is at the bottom to get the bolt through. Not with it like this. Now when I put it down on the ground, I'm sure it'll be no problem. Another thing that I'm noticing with the sway bar, again, not even sure if I have it in right. I can fit my finger in there, but that's it. I don't know if it'll be a non-issue, honestly, because the sway bar is supposed to push up the sway bar when the control arm comes up, which would be at the same time that the tie rod goes up. So I don't think they should ever contact each other, but I would rather like to have, I'd like to see more room than we currently have, I can tell you that. You got the down bars here, go to the frame, or excuse me, go to the body. You got the mounts set up for small block Chevy, big block Chevy, same stuff. Power rack. Yeah, gotta have a good rack. Sway bar link on this side. I did not do the brakes on this side. Not planning on using brakes on this side. Of course I'm going to use brakes on that side. One thing I did notice with the kit that was completely unexplained, but does make sense when you kind of look after things that the kit did and didn't do, is this big bag of spacer things I told you about earlier, and the gussets that came with it. I still have no idea what these go to. I have a feeling I may never know. Either I may never know, or I'm going to find out immediately as soon as I start driving this. Anyway, what's next? So, basically for anybody that follows the channel, you know, we're putting this car together. I'm trying to get this car on the road for at least some part of this summer. At the very latest, it'll be maybe the fall time. I hope. As some of you guys may notice, if you watch, you know, some of my other videos, I have a little one-year-old boy. He takes up all my time, and to be quite honest, you know, one moment of seriousness on his channel, I wouldn't trade any of my time with him to be out here in the garage. So, that being said, when he's asleep, and I'm supposed to be asleep, getting ready for work, I come out here and I try to put these videos together for you guys. If you are a subscriber to the channel, great. If you're not, please hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything. I don't think they're going to send you a bill or anything. I don't think they do. If they send you a bill, you just send me the invoice and I'll reimburse you. But yeah, it doesn't cost you guys anything. If you could just like, subscribe to the channel, and check out the videos. I mean, I'm going to try and keep them a little bit shorter. I think the longer videos, you know, I think they're kind of tough for people to sit through an hour of stuff. I'm trying to pack in as much quality information as I can. But for anybody that is watching the channel and is waiting for the next video, or wants to know what the next video is going to be, I've got some stuff. Well, we're going to crack on with the blue car. I mean, we're doing, you know, we kind of hit stride here. So I do need to paint the firewall. I've got to dress the firewall, and I do got to get this engine and transmission back in the car. It's going to be a big milestone. Now the engine and transmission got to go back in the car because I got to measure for drive shaft length. Mumbling a lot here, but I'm tired. So anyway, I'm going to cut it right here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the video. Check you out at the next one.